Oh, look at that. You're in a bad way, mate.
Wing.
That's handy.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that from, Ron?
Second-hand shop.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
G'day, welcome back to the channel. I'm out and about. It's actually, for winter, look at a glorious day here. It's not that cold, not much wind, sun's out, a few clouds, no worries. I'm going to do some flying for the first time in I don't know how long, for so very long. So I've got myself set up here. I've got my, what have I got? This is the indestructible fox whoop, because I could be destructing things today, having not flown for so long, and I'm sure my hands are going to be shaky as hell. With the Radio Master Zorro transmitter, because it fits in my pack so nicely, and we're running DJI FPV, because that's what I've got. I've got some analog systems I want to get back into shortly, but let's see how we go now. I'm just off the cuff here. I haven't decided on anything to talk about, but I wanted to bring the camera along, and my God, this is all falling to pieces. This bloody foam surround, it's crap. It's a DJI one. It's really comfortable, but it's all coming apart, so I'll be covered in all sorts of foamy bits. It's getting sticky. Yuck. Ooh. I have to get another one of those. Anyway, stop grizzling. What I wanted to talk about today is, of course, the hobby, because so much negativity. I've been watching videos and people, oh, we're doomed, you know, the hobby's doomed. And I watched some really good videos, vintage. I mean, I'm getting old, got to watch vintage videos, you know. And we're talking about nitro engines, some diesel engines sometimes in balsa wood frames with tissue covering and just rudder and elevator, back to the 60s with designs like the Super 60 and the Black Magic and the Veron Deacon and all the models that I used to build way back in the 60s. And they used to be free flight or perhaps single channel. And it just reminded me how things have changed, how it was fantastic. I watched these old people and some young people flying these models. I might put a link in the description if I remember it. And it was just middle of summer, the grass was all burnt brown, mown short, and these things just chugging around the sky, you know. I mean, yeah, I could probably enjoy it for an hour or two, and then I'd want to be doing 3D, but it was just so nice. Imagine a nice warm summer's day sitting there with a cold drink in the shade, chugging around with these old slow flying models on a calm, hot day. Brilliant, brilliant. Unfortunately, of course, that's not an option at the moment. And one of the reasons I wanted to make this video is some time ago, I did a call to action. I asked people to contact the local council here and to remind them of how important model flying and now, you know, the videos I make were to the district. And I thought, great, you know, I've got 205,000 subscribers, and if 10% of those rally around the cause, that's you know, they'll be overwhelmed with email. And what happened? 20 people, 20 people got off their backsides and took the time to send an email to the council saying, hey, what are you doing? So that was just a giant waste of time. And I want to do another call to action, but I'm not going to make the same mistake. If I did a call to action and we got another 20 people, everyone just laughs. What are you talking about? No one's interested, no one cares. But I think it's time we did care. It's time we did care, because if we don't do something, then this hobby is just going to fade away and become a real underground thing, only enjoyed by terrorists and bad actors. And we don't want that. We want to make sure that the public knows about it and that it's right up front and centre, and they can see we're not people with ill intent and planning to do evil things. We're just regular folk wanting to have fun with model aircraft and drones. So I want, if you're watching this video now and you're prepared to sit down and write an email to somebody, I won't tell you who yet, then leave a comment in on this video saying, yes, I'm prepared to do that. And I'll look at the number of comments, and then we're going to gauge for how many people this time, if I made a call to action, would actually go to the trouble of doing something to try and protect this hobby in a real and tangible way, which would also bring back the videos that everyone's saying, oh, we missed the videos at the field with Ron and Gordon and whatever, you know. But we can't do anything. You can't complain if you don't do something. So tell me now, go to the comments. Would you be prepared to drop someone an email? Because I'll tell you who to drop. And it may not be our council, but yeah, see if we can restore some sanity to the world and show the world that we are, you know, good people doing fun things. Then they could join in too. They could join in too. But harder now with this, all the bloody restrictions and other things, the tariffs and crap, but that'll pass. That will pass. It's only a temporary thing. Pretty soon the world will realise how stupid they are, and you it'll be like skateboarding. It was vilified at one stage. Oh, skateboarders are evil teenagers trying to, create problems and havoc. And then the world got used to it. They realised that, well, skateboarders are just, people having fun with a skateboard. So now there's nowhere near the same stigma associated with skateboarding. And even if we have, oh God, this is uncomfortable. Oh, excuse me. Getting old and having nerve problems. Even if we have a situation where, we've got drones being used in the theatre of war, which is unfortunate for us. I mean, if you looked at these models, I'll try and leave a link. If you looked at these old-timer models being flown, no one could ever suggest that they were a weapon of war. Nobody in their right mind. So maybe one way we can get this back is just wind the clock back a bit. Let's just go back and fly some old-school model aircraft. Probably a lot of people watching this, if you're younger, you've probably never flown a real model aircraft. You had to build with your own hands and which flew, 50% luck, 50% skill. These are things that are, probably foreign to you. And I'd really like to see people doing that. I don't know if they even grow balsa trees anymore, but there's other ways of doing it. Maybe we should do that. I mean, the flight test thing in America is going pretty well, I think. They've got good following and there's, it's well received by the public. We need to do the same thing in other countries. Let them know this is a community type hobby that anyone can enjoy. But to do that, we've got to get the profile, the publicity. And I'm happy to put everything I can into creating that publicity in a very positive way. But to do that, need a venue, need the support of certain groups. And so, got to get the ball rolling. And to do that will require everybody to do their bit. If you're prepared to do your bit, go to the comments, tell me now. If you're not, well, I'll add them up. I'll give it a week. I'll add up all the comments, all the people that are prepared to act. And if I think there's a sufficient mass there, then I'm going to do something. And I'm going to ask you to contribute just a little bit of your time to support this. And who knows? This is the great southern summer coming up now. So it's coming early today. And it may be the best summer ever if we get things sorted. Now, I went to Google and I looked at the Tokoroa airfield and I looked at the comments on Google reviews. 95 comments, I think there were, and just about all of them were talking about the model flying, Ron and Gordon and all the others and the fun that we had at the field. For anybody to dismiss that as being important shows they're complete lunatics, completely, I'm describing our council, of course, but I think there are other ways of going about this. That alone is a lot of evidence to convince certain people that they should look at what we're doing with a very positive eye. And if I can do it here in New Zealand, we can get it spreading around the world. We've got to do something. We have to do something. We can't just sit here and watch the hobby be destroyed by commercial entities like the Commercial Drone Alliance and various drone delivery companies and eVTOL companies who just want to steal the airspace. And we can't let the reputation of the hobby be destroyed by people who misunderstand what we do and simply think drone is a weapon of war. These things, we've got to push back. I've been doing this for so long now. And it's been pretty much a one-man journey. Out there at the coalface, chipping away at public perception, trying to, make the hobby better received. But if we can get an army of people to do it, it's good. I've tried to create international groups to represent the hobby, but again, no one's really interested. It's so, people talk, but they don't walk. It's so disappointing. But I think hopefully now, we've reached a point where everyone can see. Everybody can see that if we don't do something, well then the hobby is really in big trouble. Not going to disappear, but it's just going to be so marginalised. It'll be like it was back in the early noughties before Hobby King came along. It was old men sitting in deck chairs at a field talking about how they used to fly with their models sitting there because it was too windy or it was too calm or it was too sunny or too cloudy to fly. That's what the hobby used to be like. But then things changed and now they're going back to the way they were. We don't want that. We don't want that. We want people flying, enjoying things. And also, I want to bring kids into this. We want to get another generation in because we've got to fight and one thing we've got going for us is that with RAM prices, and GPU prices the way they are, and console prices the way they are, we've got a whole new generation of kids coming through who may not be able to afford to play computer games anymore. So they'll be looking for something to do. Maybe we can introduce them to this hobby. Something as simple as building simple hand-launched gliders and control line, something that it's a thing of the past, but hey, should it be? Because why not do control line now? You can fly it in really small spaces. It's safe. Although in New Zealand, oh God, our aviation regulations regulate control line models. Yeah, they regulate it. What the hell problem can a control line model do? It's on the end of 30-foot or 60-foot lines. Where's it going to go? Where's it going to go? But apparently has to be regulated, and in New Zealand, something that's a little ray of sunshine on the horizon just to keep you up with the changes in the regulations. The New Zealand Civil Aviation Authority is looking at not kind of deregulating agricultural drone use, because at the moment, if you have got a farm and you want to fly an agricultural drone over your own farm to dispense chemicals or whatever, you have to get what amounts to a commercial certification, like Part 102 it's called, which means you've got to write this massive bloody 50-page document outlining all the things you're going to do and your procedures and the risks and how you're going to manage them. And it's just, the stupid thing is, people don't do this. They go to another company that has a template, and that company sells them the template, fills in the gaps with their name, and then they submit it to CAA, and CAA go, right, okay, that's fine, the paperwork's heavy enough, you can do your thing, without any real checking. And it's an exercise, it's a joke in bureaucracy. So I think CAA might have recognised this, and they figure, well, if you've got a farmer and he's flying over his own land and it's an agricultural drone, so it's not going to be flying at 1,000 feet, what's the harm? And it's sensible. But the beautiful thing is that for hobbyists, now if the Civil Aviation Authority is going to say it's okay for a farmer who has never flown a drone before to fly a 25 kilogram chemical dispensing drone, then it should be okay for someone to fly a 250 gram drone in similar or other situations without too much regulation and oversight. Because trust me, a 25 kilo agricultural drone can cause a hell of a lot more damage than a 250 gram something like this with shrouded props and so forth. So it could open the doors a little bit to getting some laxer rules for the hobby, I hope. I'm going to be pushing for it anyway. Going to be pushing very hard for that. So I've just talked too much now. If I've done any flying, I might have overlaid a bit of footage on there. Otherwise, I'll just do a bit of flying now. Maybe I'll put some in, but it's going to be so crap. You do not want to see it. There's way too much really bad quadcopter flying on YouTube. You do not need to see any more. So I'll just finally reiterate again, which is kind of redundant because reiterate means to say again, that if you are prepared to send an email or maybe two to support the hobby, to perhaps get the gang back together in favourable circumstances to make the videos I used to make, then leave a comment to that effect. I'll tote them up in a week's time and we'll see if we've got the critical mass. If we don't, I'll just give it a miss. I'm not even going to bother trying. I don't want to embarrass myself again. But hey, maybe we can do something. Maybe it's time we did do something. Maybe it's almost too late to do something, but we can't give up. That's it. I am going to put all my gear on with this scungy foam surround. Ugh, that's horrible. And do some flying. Of course, I've got Arnie as my spotter today. No worries. Am I recording? Yep, recording. Let's see if I can remember how to fly. Yeah, there we go. First flight for, God, I don't know how long. That seems like an awfully long time. I'm going to have to practice again if I'm going to get good enough to have fun in the summer. But fixed wing, I'll be doing some fixed wing. I've got my, that little, what is that thing? Pusher thing. And I've got AXN, that's right. Going to build my AXN. Got probably the last brand new AXN of the original type that was in existence, and I've got to build it up FPV. See how we go for the summer. And the next one.
There's this Indian doing downwind landings again.
Yep.
Downwind, crosswind.
He's crabbed on.
Kicked round all right, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you think you are?
Whoa, this is interesting.
Hey,
yeah, go.
Hey, come on.
Nose will be a bit higher.
Oh, that was, oh, he aborted that, didn't he?